channel here, and I have a special guest today, Tanner, the bearded gooner. So, Tanner, welcome to the channel.
Hey, everybody. What's going on? Happy to be here.
Tanner is actually in my time zone, so this could become a regular thing where we talk at least once a week. Catch up on all things Arsenal, Tanner.
Definitely. I would absolutely love to do it. Definitely on board.
Hey, when I have a new guest or a new personality, I like to ask this first question. Tell me about your Arsenal life, Tanner. How you got into Arsenal, and when it started for you, how you got into this crazy world of Arsenal.
Well, the story starts when I was 10 years old, 1989, and it was late June. And a TV program called the ABC Wide World of Sports. And they broadcast obviously it was a rebroadcast of the Arsenal-Liverpool match. And I knew I was watching soccer. I mean, I've been a sports fan my whole life. And I knew I was watching soccer. But I didn't really know the teams, didn't know who I was watching. And I gravitated towards Arsenal because as the game progressed, the announcers explained what was at stake for both teams. You know, Arsenal being on the road, they're the underdog, need to win by 2 to win the league. And that just pretty much did it for me. I've sort of always gravitated towards that underdog kind of role. And when they won, I just absolutely went nuts. Like, oh my God, I've seen history. I've seen a championship. And my grandfather kind of like, you know, what's going on? What are you so excited about? And I explained it to him, and he just kind of took it from there. My grandfather did and ran with it. He actually got in touch with the club. They sent a schedule. They sent me a scarf, which he gave me for my birthday, the beginning of the following season. So 89, 90. And from that point forward, it's just been go, baby, go.
And that season, Tanner, Liverpool took back the league title from us. But we had a lot of fun winning that in 89. I'll tell you my story. I started watching Arsenal a few years before that, maybe 2 years, in the young George Graham team. And yes, I was actually in the store working in 1989 when that game was on, and didn't believe that Arsenal could win. So I pretty much hid away, went home that night, didn't know what happened, and went to sleep. Woke up the next day. Lo and behold, we'd beaten Liverpool, and a lot of people will know Liverpool was the powerhouse at the time. That's why you picked Arsenal, the underdogs at the time. And famous 2-0 win. We won it on goals scored. We were equal on goal difference, but we had scored more goals than Liverpool.
That's right. I did hear that at one point.
Yeah. So those were the good days. Now, where are we now, Tanner?
Transition. Obviously, when you move away from a manager or a coach that's been such a mainstay in your organization, your club, for 2 decades, obviously there's going to be a transition period with that. In this day and age of money in sports, it is, if you are willing to spend that money, I think it is pretty easy to avoid that transition period and just sort of, retool instead of rebuild. Yes. And I think there's a difference, but I would say right now we're in a retooling right now, a transition. There's a saying here, at least in American sports anyway, you never want to follow the legend. You want to follow the guy that follows the legend, so to speak. Yeah. And with Wenger being such a large figure in our club, I'll be honest with you, no matter who they would have hired to succeed Arsene Wenger, it was always going to be a tough go for whoever that was. And I will say, I don't think, and I don't want to get off too quickly here. I never thought that Unai Emery would, even when they hired him, never really thought he was the guy to take us forward. Especially considering, his tenure at PSG. We can get into that down the road.
Yeah, down the road. So. Yeah, exactly. Tonight's game, It struck me, Tanner, the bearded gooner. Which you want to go by, the bearded gooner or Tanner?
Either one, quite frankly. I'd probably prefer the bearded gooner just because that's my Twitter handle. So
And
I actually, when I was over, I was in London for the home opener against Burnley, and I bought the new kit, and that's what I put on the new kit. And I walk up the street to the Tollington after the match is over, and I had to have had a dozen people see my kit and come up to me like, "You're the bearded gooner." Like, wow, hey, boy, yeah, okay. I'm going to move over here. I'm a lot more popular here than I am back in Pittsburgh. So
yeah, I didn't get that press when I went over there. I was back there for the Brighton game last season, which unfortunately we folded a little bit.
I was there at that match as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, one Granit Xhaka conceded the penalty.
Wow.
But listen, we're here to talk about. So it strikes me that this 3-2 scoreline is very similar to the Aston Villa game. We get ourselves down 2-1 and we have to pull it out of the fire in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. The Villa game, I kind of felt like it just had a different feel than this game did. I'll be honest. I didn't think probably about 60 minutes. And I even put a tweet out at halftime and I said, call me crazy, but I think we're going to win this match 4-2 or 5-2. And at the time, I really and truly felt that we would. And it was for no other reason than it just kind of seemed like that kind of a match. We were going to play incredibly poorly in the first half, couldn't string 3 passes together, giving the ball away cheaply. And then at halftime, something would happen and we would just sort of figure it out. And obviously that didn't happen. The only difference, I always felt like we were in the Villa game. And I'll tell you, around 60 minutes today, I didn't quite have that feeling that we were going to pull this out. I really thought that Vitoria might see this through. They may even get a third and really put a stranglehold on it.
Well, of course, this is the Europa League, and we should be winning 3 or 4-0.
100%. Yeah, I hate to say this, all due respect to these teams, but they're inferior competition, and that sounds incredibly arrogant to say as an Arsenal supporter, but it is what it is. They're 4th in the Portuguese league right now, I think, and they were just knocked out over the weekend of the Portuguese Domestic Cup by a semi-pro team. Like, I'm talking not Championship, League One or League Two. We're going to the National League in a comparison in English football to what Vitoria was knocked out by over the weekend.
And we seem to be picking maybe not on paper, but in performances, we're picking a better team for the Europa League than the Premier League. We're seeming to struggle a lot in the Premier League.
Yeah, it comes down to Unai Emery and team selection. And I've asked this question and would love the listeners to get involved here and and give us your thoughts on what you guys think. But I had posed the question earlier in the week: is Unai Emery prioritizing Europa League over the Premier League at a detriment almost to our standing in the Premier League? In other words, is he just throwing all of his eggs in the Europa League basket now in the group stages where you're absolutely right? We should be winning these games. What's up? No, thanks.
What's up, Noe? Thanks for coming in.
Noe. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Throw out that question to Noe.
What I said, Noe, was do you think that Unai Emery is prioritizing the Europa League over the Premier League right now with his team selection?
It certainly seems that way to me, based on the type of players that are in the team, the cohesion in midfield, and the tenacity of the forwards that we're playing. Okay, I'm really glad that Aubameyang got a break tonight because he's been our talisman, our savior the whole season, Tanner.
Well, we've seen what happens when Aubameyang doesn't get any service. I actually saw people after Monday night's game, player rating wise on Twitter, people are saying, oh, he was only a 3, he was only a 4. But I think you have to put it in context that when you rate a player that poorly, that low, if Aubameyang had 4 or 5 sitters in the game and didn't convert, if he were creating his own chances, which is not really his. That's not really his game. He needs that service. So I thought, seeing people rate him that poorly was really not fair to Aubameyang, and we saw come Monday night what happens when he doesn't get any service.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. If he doesn't get any service, how can you rate his performance? Because he's playing in the forward positions.
Exactly. And if he doesn't score, as you said, he's our talisman. How many times does he have to bail us out before someone's going to realize what's going on and make a change to make a difference, so that we're not solely reliant on one player?
So is the Europa League our priority, Tanner? Types of players that we're playing. We've got our one of our big acquisitions from the summer, Kieran Tierney, playing in the Europa League now and not featuring. He didn't feature Monday.
No, not at all. And I dare say, I don't want to go into previewing Sunday just yet, but I'm afraid he won't feature Sunday against Palace at the Emirates either, simply because he played all 90 minutes tonight. And the question has to be asked, why isn't he featuring now in the Premier League? Why? Unai Emery said Sead Kolasinac has done nothing to warrant being dropped. And is the language barrier still that prevalent with Unai Emery that he's not understanding the questions? Because that's a question that I think he fully understands. And if that's how he feels, then our upper management staff really need to take a look at Unai Emery and his team selection, his tactics, his best 11, which seem to be non-existent at this point.
Well, let's look into that, Tanner. I mean, I think that he was more forthcoming last season in relating his vision, whatever that is, his selection policies. He seems to swat a lot of questions away now in the pressers.
He seems to be almost defiant in the press conferences now, almost as perhaps he knows that the writing is on the wall for him if we don't start putting in the performances and getting the results. And up until this point of the season, and I've been saying this really since the Tottenham match, we're getting the result, but I think we're very lucky in getting the results that we've gotten. And after I got to sit here and go back in time. Well, before the last international break, I had posed the question, are you a glass half full or a glass half empty supporter? Are you satisfied that we're in third, 1 point behind Manchester City? Or do you look back at Watford, at the North London derby, and say there were 4 points right there dropped, and we could have been sitting in second? And there was another match in there as well where we had actually dropped. It was another draw, and it escapes me. I know it was on the road. It escapes me at the moment. But
Manchester United away from home.
United away. That's it. And so when you look at those 6 points, and in my opinion, 6 points dropped, we could have really been 5 points ahead of City, sitting in second place comfortably, 3 points off. I'll say it now, off the eventual champions. I think Liverpool will win the league, but I'm a glass, in that point, I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. And yeah.
To echo what you're saying, Tanner, I've always been a glass half full kind of guy, but I know this. I always
dogs. Sorry about that.
They want to have their say.
I've got 2 of them that definitely will. That's for sure. Apologies, everybody. I've got 3 beagles, and 2 of whom can be a bit noisy. So
they want to have their say about Unai Emery, Arsenal, all of that stuff. Listen, I was a glass half full kind of guy until Monday when I saw the selection of the team. We have Tierney, we have Holding, we have Bellerin. Why is Unai Emery not playing those players in defence? And in midfield, we have a soon-to-be world-class player in Torreira, who is not playing in his best position. And those are the principal issues I have with Unai Emery.
Yeah, 100%. Playing players, as you just said. the world class players not getting in the game, Beller and Tierney. Rob Holding was our best defender last year until he got hurt. Ironically enough, I was at that game as well. That was Manchester United on the road. Holding was our best defender. And it just begs the question now, what does Emery see in Socrates and Louise that he won't give Rob Holding a shout in the Premier League matches?
Tanner, they seems to me that David Luiz and Socrates is Emery's preferred first choice defenders. Yeah. Do you see anything that I'm not seeing?
No, not at all. I hate to keep coming back to the same point, and I'm going to sound like a broken record here. But again, why aren't these guys in the games? And if they're playing in the Europa League, they're fit, they're healthy, they're playing 90 minutes. What's the problem here? Why aren't they getting the shout in the Premier League? And to that end, again, is Unai Emery prioritizing Europa League over Premier League? No, you're absolutely right. The dogs are absolutely saying Emery out. I'm with you on that one.
And the barks are getting just a little bit louder.
They are, for sure. There was an Emery out sign there tonight, I believe. Somebody had a picture on Twitter of it.
I think a lot like me, a lot of fans changed their viewpoint last Monday night after that Sheffield United game.
Yeah. Everything I've seen is everything I've seen on Twitter, all of the different podcasts and vlogs that I watch. Everybody seems to be coming around to, okay, maybe I'm not 100% Emery out, but I am neutral at this point. And if you have zero support, which I think at this point that's pretty much Unai Emery now, it's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable.
Okay, Noe, thanks for coming in the comments. He is one of my loyal subscribers. Tanner is going to get something going, so in due course we'll be doing a collaboration going on through the weeks. Please give him support when he gets up and running. We'll be talking about that. We'll help you along on your road.
I appreciate it.
No, our priority should be the Premier League. The Europa League is just a backup plan if we fail to get top four. God forbid if we fail to get top four, Tanner.
Obviously, it's a money-driven industry at this point, and all the money is in the Champions League, and that's roughly £40 million out of the transfer kit to not finish top four and to not qualify for Champions League. And let's face it, Arsenal Football Club, again, I don't want to sound entitled and I don't want to sound arrogant about it, but this is where Arsenal Football Club should be playing. We should be playing Champions League football. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be there. I get that every club will go through a bit of a lull. This may be our lull, but in this day and age, we can't afford to be out of the Champions League 5 or 6 years. We have to qualify again. It's imperative that we qualify.
Yeah, we're out of the Champions League now 3 years running. There's the argument, Tanner. Are we good enough to be in Champions League? But I contend that we need to get there first, and then we'll find out if we're good enough. We need to keep qualifying in the top four to grow the club and to come back to where we were.
100%. Yeah, I would say right now, if we were in the Champions League right now, playing the sides playing with the team that Emery is selecting for the Europa League, we'd be laughed off the pitch.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's a good thing we're not there right now, based on team selection and who our manager is and things like that.
We have the talented club, Tanner.
Very talented.
Right? We have the players. We have the players there. We've got world-class players. So, to me, they're just not being used to their full potential.
Oh, absolutely. We have a world-class. He's a Ballon d'Or candidate right now, finalist in Aubameyang. We have him in the prime of his career. These are the best years of his career, and we give him nothing. We give him absolutely no service, no support, and it's it's just unspeakable that we would allow him to. And he was our record signing until Pepe. Let's not forget that we spent all this money on him, only to then put him on an island up high up the pitch and say, okay, well, hey, we're going to play back here. We'll see you later if we end up getting the ball up there to you. And it's just nonsense.
Maybe I'll give you the nickname BG as well. I was thinking maybe BFG. We got to get the F in there somewhere.
Yeah. I think Murdersacker will have something to say about that.
Well, he's a legend, and so are you, Tanner.
Yeah, I'm working on the legend status.
We'll see what we can do as the weeks go on. We'll do that. We'll make this an ongoing thing, like I said. Hey, I think Aubameyang really needs Lacazette to help him in that respect.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely two very different strikers in their playing style. Lacazette is he holds the play up very, very well, and they work so well off one another as well. And I think Pepe now getting his feet under him is going to help that. But Aubameyang on his own with no Lacazette up there to hold the ball up, it becomes a different style of play. It with Aubameyang, it has to become more of a straightforward. A more straightforward style of play, creating things off the run for him. And with Lacazette, like I said, he holds the ball up so well. He can create. Aubameyang can get into space in sort of a one-touch, or even just a two-touch, and the ball's in the back of the net.
So we've got exciting times, and now Pepe is off and running. I was always contending, give Pepe time, he'll get there. He's quality. What do you think?
Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira. I mean, let's just run through the entire invincible list. Robert Pires, one of my favorite players of all time. Yep. None of these guys came in and set the world on fire in their first 2 or 3 matches with the Arsenal. It took time. And this is a difficult league to play, and it's a physical league. It's a fast league. And the physicality of it, I don't think Pepe was quite ready for, and it's a confidence thing as well for him. And now that he has these 2 goals under his belt, along with the penalty kick that Aubameyang gave up to him, talk about leadership. There's a guy that says, no, you go ahead. You've got this. You go ahead and take that. But with Pepe, he's going to come good. And I always thought he would. And quite frankly, I'll give him the year. I would have given him the entire season if that's what it would have taken. But I think it'll happen for him now a lot sooner than waiting until April or May to see him really start coming good.
What kind of output are you looking for him in terms of goals and assists for this season? To be fair,
for this season,
yeah,
man, over in all competitions or just league?
Yeah, all competitions,
all comps.
55, 60 games.
Man, I'd say to get with this season, I'd probably give him a bit of a break. I would say 15 goals. Assist wise, 10.
Yeah,
maybe 7, 8, somewhere in that neighborhood. So if he could get a total in all competitions of 25 points, in any combination really of goals and assists, I think in his first year, considering we're now 10 matches, we're 13 matches now into the season in all competitions, I think you'd have to take that with a shout. Absolutely.
2 great free kicks today. Talk about them.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Put the ball in 2 spots. If you watch the free kicks, the first one goes right into the bottom left corner. The second one goes into the top left corner, and he put them in places the goalkeeper had no chance.
Especially that second one. It was a postage stamp up there in that top corner.
And in an incredibly pressurized situation as well. Let's not discount the pressure that goes into that. Coming off the bench, with about 15 minutes left in the match, so he's not even really all that warm to come in. He came in the 78th minute. The free kick goes. The first free kick goes in the bottom of the net in the 80th minute, and to come in and just grab the game like that by the scruff of its neck and dominate the way that he did with the free kicks, it just goes to show you the talent that he has, and it's there. It's there. He just needs to get comfortable and it will come out. And let's not forget also the free kick that he had a little further back, that with the delivery he sent in, and Rob Holding and this was a great save by their goalkeeper. But Rob Holding headed the ball off a Pepe free kick. And I don't know if you happen to see that.
Yeah,
it was an absolutely brilliant delivery. That as we say, I'm a hockey guy, so you may hear a few hockey references from me here and there. But as we say in hockey, good shot, better save. A tremendous save by the goalkeeper. Full marks to him.
The two defenders actually should have scored, Rob Holding and Mustafi.
And
Mustafi had a decent game, right?
Who's that? I'm sorry.
Mustafi had a decent game.
He did, and the one that he missed, you can see he was pretty upset with himself after he missed it. He went up and he kicked the goalpost, so you could see he was talking to himself. Mustafi is the one thing I've always said about Mustafi was I think a bit of the pressure, £35 million transfer, I believe, from Valencia. There's a lot of pressure there. I don't think he's worth that. That's not a slight to him. I just some guys just aren't worth that. But I'll say that in his appearances, again, let's keep in mind the opponents, the level of opponents that we're playing. Hey, Stan, how's it going in Vancouver tonight?
I stand the man.
There's the effort with Mustafi is there. And I think if he would just let his instincts take over a little bit more and not think so much, there's more there. I would not, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I would not be unhappy if Mustafi stayed in this team another year, specifically for cup matches, Europa League competition. Matches. Yeah.
Right.
He's not going to get a shout in the Premier League matches, I don't think, barring injury. But again, there's a role for him to play on this team. I think in the 4 matches he's played so far this year, he's acquitted himself rather well.
I think there's always a way, if a player loses his way a little bit, Tanner, that you can take him out of the firing line a little bit, like we did with Mustafi, and gradually build up his confidence in training and put him back into the firing line in a lesser competition, the group stages of the Europa League, plus some of the Carabao Cup games and the FA Cup down the line.
Absolutely. I think it's all a bit dependent on the competition, obviously.
And who knows, Bearded Gunner, it could have actually helped Pepe tonight as well.
Oh,
to come on as substitute.
Yeah, I think so. As you hit the nail on the head. You know, get them out of the firing line a little bit. Let them sit. Let them get their head right. And I know that in football, confidence is a very big deal. But I think, you know, if I were over there and I had the chance to talk with these guys, it would just be simply, look, you're a professional. You're doing something that very few people in the world do, and you're good at it.
Yeah.
Don't let the down times get you too down. You're going to go through lulls. The best players in every sport go through rough patches. And it's just a matter of staying confident in yourself and in your abilities, and knowing that in there is that world-class player that got you to this point.
Did you see that interview with Mustafi? He seems to have a very good support system in his wife. She's actually was bigging him up a little bit, telling him, you know, you did win a World Cup and there's a reason why you reached such heights.
You're talking about the print article, right? The print interview that he did. Yeah. I did see that, and boy, I'll tell you what, the things that he had to say in there, and I don't take. If I ever see on Twitter any Arsenal fan, you know, calling the players names, you know, saying just vile, vitriolic things to them, I can't stand that. That's just
you should never really tag the player as well, unless you're going to say something complimentary.
Yeah,
you got to think about the effect that it's going to have on their confidence.
I think booing, it's being American. It's a little different. We have a bit of a different take on it. Like, we pay our money for the ticket. If we want to boo you, we can boo you.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the players need to hear. I think sometimes the players need to hear a little bit of that for them to know that, hey, it's all not it's not all fairy dust and rainbows here. You guys need to step your game up and start playing like we know you can play. And that's the boo. But again, to call them names, to say, mean and just derogatory things about them, their family, so on and so forth, I don't have time for that. That's just bad karma, and that's just someone who's not a supporter.
Yeah, no, exactly. So moving on to the next subject. Thank you, Stan the man. Where was Ozil? Let's talk about this for 3 minutes. Where was Ozil tonight? Now, is it becoming an issue, or has it been an issue? It just will continue to be, or is it fading? Is it growing?
With Mesut Ozil,
the Ozil situation.
And
I'll tell you.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I saw that video of him on the training grounds talking to Emery. It struck me a little bit like Pogba last season with Mourinho.
For the first question, is it going to be an issue? It's Mesut Ozil is so big with this club and has such a presence outside of the stadium that it's going to be an issue no matter what. If we were scoring goals, dominating games, then it would be a non-issue. But we're not. We're not playing well, and leaving him out of the side, and especially when we're lacking that creativity, is going to it's going to stir the pot in the Mesut Ozil situation. And I don't know that it will really get any worse than it is right now. I don't know that it can get any worse than it is right now. It can only get better. And look, it is the manager's right. It is his absolute right to drop a player. But at the same time, to come out in the media and say he's training well, he's fit, he's doing all of the things I want him to do, and then to not include him, to not even put him on the bench. Mesut Ozil is a world-class player who should be at the very least on the bench. He had a role to play Monday night. I understand why he wasn't in the side tonight. But had he been in the side Monday, I could understand him not being in the side tonight. But to just not even get a look, even a sniff. I heard somebody put forward a rumor that it's coming from the top, that upper management is saying, don't play him, because if you play him and he has an absolute screamer of a game, how do we get rid of him? They don't want him played simply because they want to be able to get rid of him with his high wages. I don't know about that. To me, that's a matter of trying to save money versus making money. So
let's delve into last season. The PR, it was really a PR battle between Unai Emery and Ozil and his representatives, his agents, his machine, his PR machine.
Yeah, good way to put it.
Which is very good. And I feel like last season the club tried to play him in an effort to sell him in January, move him on, put him in the shop window, let him play well. Hopefully some offers would come in. I think they're trying, obviously, like you said, to do the opposite now, freeze him out a little bit. And, like Stan says here, it's official. We are now at Civil War status.
DEFCON 4. I guess DEFCON 2, maybe. Yeah. It's a very delicate situation. And in no other sport are the fans as prevalent as they are in European football. Certainly in America, you just don't see fan bases. I don't want to say as passionate or as involved, but with European football, there's just such a connection from the fan to the club and vice versa. And with the Mesut Ozil situation, because he has his defenders and his detractors, there's really, I kind of feel like I'm in the middle with it. I want to see him in the side because I think he's better than some of the players we have in the side. But the PR battle and everything that's going on right now between he and Emery is just put him in the side. And if you're not going to play him, then just come out in the media and just say, okay, look, we're done. This is it.
And that's the other part of it, Tanner. The other part of it, Tanner, is we're getting mixed signals from Unai Emery. He's saying the different players, not just Mesut Ozil. He's saying Tierney's fit, Tierney can play, but we don't see him on Monday. Holding's ready. We don't see Holding. Bellerin's ready. We don't see Bellerin.
The Bellerin
goes on.
I don't know why it keeps. I don't know why my mic. I don't know if you're hearing that or not. Whenever I come back in, the mic, I hear a lot of feedback.
A little bit.
I apologize for that, everyone. The Bellerin thing I could kind of understand. I've actually blown my knee out twice. Had the same injury that Holding and Bellerin both had, torn ACLs. I've done it twice. It is not an easy injury to come back from, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of that is confidence in the knee itself, that it's not going to happen again. The Bellerin not playing Monday thing, I can understand that. He did that in, I believe, January of last year, February at the latest.
Yeah, no, it was January because our channel had just started, and it was in that Chelsea game.
So we're at 10 months right now, which is about right where he should be coming back. It's typically an 8 to 10 month recovery period for that injury. So he's right around the time he should be back in the team now, which he is. He played 90 minutes tonight. In our last Europa League game, he played 90 minutes, I believe, in that match as well against Liège. So he is right on schedule for where he should be. I would have expected Bellerin to get a shout on Sunday against Palace if he wouldn't have played 90 minutes tonight.
Yeah.
That said, to go 90 minutes tonight and then expect him to go another 90 in 72 hours that's going to be a bit much. But even Lacazette, to your point about not playing, the best players, Lacazette I could understand not playing on Monday night, or at least not starting. Anyway, that I could understand. I just want to put that out.
I think a lot of fans tuned out because Tierney did not start that game.
Yeah, I'd agree with. I mean, when I saw the lineup, I mean, I'm going to watch 100%. I'll watch as long as I'm able.
Yeah.
But I just, when I saw the lineup, I'm thinking to myself, what's going on here? Tierney didn't even play an international game during the break, and Kolasinac, I think, played 2, if I'm not mistaken. And then, again, for Emery to come out in the media and say, well, Kolasinac hasn't done anything to warrant being dropped. What are you watching? What are you watching?
Yeah.
I do like him. I think Kolasinac is he's a serviceable left back, but he's not a starter. He's not a starter in the Premier League at Arsenal Football Club, at any of the big 6, I don't think. And you could throw Leicester in there. You could throw even Wolves in there. Yeah. Everton.
No, I think if you convince me that Kolasinac is at the level where we want to put Mustafi, Europa League games, Cup games, but we got to be playing Tierney in the Premier League.
Yeah.
What do you see with Ainsley Maitland-Niles today in midfield? Had a tough game, the kid.
Yeah.
Let's look at his Arsenal career so far. It's not gone so well for him.
No.
He's probably low on confidence.
100%. And it's a shame. It really is. I like the guy, and I think there's a fair amount of talent there. I won't say that he's a starter in this club week in and week out. He's not going to be the first name on the sheet, but a reasonable sub playing in some bigger matches, be it Europa League, be it FA Cup, the further on we progress.
Yep.
And I think he's been a Swiss Army knife for Arsenal Football Club.
Yep.
But he's now at the point where I don't think he's really great at any one position. And tonight was just not his night. And
would you liken him to Oxlade-Chamberlain?
With Ox's time here, yeah. With Ox's time here, yeah. But Ox couldn't stay healthy. That was another. I mean, he didn't have the injuries that he's had at Liverpool with us, but a bit of a Swiss Army knife, and just can't find his role in the team. But I will say that I don't think Maitland-Niles is on the same level of Ox. I think Ox is a better player.
You're not willing to make that stretch just yet.
Yeah,
they're at different trajectories in their career.
For sure.
I think Oxlade-Chamberlain's really finding his feet now with Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that Liverpool midfield seems a little dead, that he could actually break into it a little bit, into the first team. Just talk. Yeah, I know we mentioned Liverpool. I do agree with you. I think they will be the eventual champions finally this season. Unless City can turn the screw a little bit and play some mind games.
I'm going to root for them hard. I just cannot. Again, sorry everyone for the feedback. Whenever I come back in here, I no idea what's going on. I really not looking forward to the Scousers winning this thing, man. And
you're going to hear about it, right?
We're going to hear all about it. And I've got a few of my good friends here in Pittsburgh are big Liverpool fans, and I'm never going to hear the end of it. So, I mean, Champions League is one thing because they've won it before, and that's great when they win the league this year, and I think they will. They're a great team, and full marks to them. But yeah, I'm just really not looking forward to listening to their fans.
Yeah, for every other EPL team, we would want to win the Champions League, but I think that's the holy grail is the Premier League for Liverpool right now.
There's a radio host out here in Pittsburgh, big Liverpool fan, big hockey fan, and I've had an opportunity to speak with him a few times. And I've asked him, what is the one trophy, if you could win a trophy this year, but only one, which one is it? To a T, every Liverpool fan says, we have to win the Premier League. So,
hands down.
Yeah. They'd even take getting knocked out of the group stage of Champions League to win the Premier League at this point. Can't blame
them. Let's jump back to Arsenal.
Yeah.
Martinelli. This is a baller.
Absolutely. God bless Edu for finding him. I think this was all on Edu even before he was announced.
Yeah.
As technical director, and the kid just puts in a shift every time he's on the pitch. He came on Monday night, not his best effort, but I think it was collective at that point. But again today, he probably should have scored 2. And could have, I think, scored 3. I think he had another header that he just missed, or the goalie made a save. I honestly don't remember. I'd have to go back and watch a replay. But there was one where he should have had a second, and he probably could have had a third. And
he's probably the best header of the ball that we have at the club
right now.
Forwards.
Yeah,
and we need to play him when Tierney's in the team as well, because they seem to link up on crosses. I don't know what kind of service we're going to get from the right side. Bellerin is probably the king of cutbacks as well, Tanner.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I saw a tweet earlier that said Martinelli's probably running home right now.
Yeah.
I think he's just ahead of Saka myself. Where do you stand on the two of those?
Saka. I agree with you. I think Martinelli is just ahead of Saka right now. I actually got a chance to see him in his first game, in his first senior team match, which was last December. Against it was the last game of the group stage of the Europa League in December. I can't remember. It was one of the far eastern. Karabag might have been.
Trabzonspor.
Somebody.
One of those Wi-Fi names.
Exactly. Yeah. But what Saka brings is that directness that I think we've been missing in some of our forwards in recent memory. He's going to go at you. And I think we've seen that. Monday wasn't his best effort. I don't think Saka was as bad as I've seen other people saying. But I'm giving him higher marks, I think, based on effort than actual what did he actually do with the ball at his foot. Not sure he should have started. I'll agree with a lot of people on that front.
Yeah. Monday was tough because he was thrown in at the deep end, and then we had that showman of a referee.
Oh.
He's just the worst.
Mike Dean, go to Hollywood, man.
He needs to do a ballerina or something like that.
Mike Dean, if you're watching this right now, please come to America, move to Hollywood, and go put your your acting and your demonstrative mannerisms. Just take it out there, please. Just
he's
go.
got his timing. His timing is perfect, Tanner.
Oh,
he waits 2 seconds before he knows the cameras are then on him, and he's like pointing.
Did you see the video of him coming out of the tunnel and taking the ball off the stand at the beginning of the game?
No.
His eyes, I don't know. Here, his eyes were like this, looking at the ball.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, what are you doing? He's a character. He's a character, and yeah, not a good referee. He's a character, but he's not a good referee.
You know, there's a lot of referees. If we get them, I kind of cringe a little bit. I think we've had run-ins with referees, especially in the Arsene Wenger years.
Yeah,
that has kind of damaged us a little bit. Down 3 years. But just let's wrap up with your feelings on tonight, and let's wrap up with Pepe and where we what we think of Pepe. And I actually talked about Pepe back in January on the channel. I actually wanted him, so I'm very happy we got him. What was your feeling actually when we signed Pepe, when you heard that like Saturday morning?
I'm pretty happy about it. I wanted Pepe or Zaha, and if I had to have chosen between the two at the time, I would have taken Zaha for no other reason than his Premier League experience.
Okay.
That said, I have, and I never have had any doubts about Pepe, even to this point in the season. Everyone, giving him a lot of grief about not performing. I've not had my doubts, and I've feel like I've had a fair amount of patience with Pepe, and I think these 2 goals, although they haven't come from open play, again, 2 free kicks and a penalty kick for his goals in all competitions.
Quality.
I mean, the penalty kick, I'll go back to that. He took that he stepped right up and basically just said, right, I have the advantage here, and he put it in the back of the net. And his 2 free kicks tonight, absolute masterclass. I'm very excited about Pepe and what he's going to bring to this club once he fully settles into the rigors of the Premier League, gets himself comfortable with living in England, in London. And I think Pepe is going to come real good for us. And I think it's on the uptick now.
Yeah, and Aubameyang, of course, we touched on Ballon d'Or nominee. He could already be on 50 goals if he had not given that penalty to Pepe. So, but that speaks volumes about Aubameyang, the troublemaker from Germany.
Yeah, the troublemaker, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything but goodwill from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
A guy who poses for pictures with fans in the stadium. I have seen on Twitter tonight, just from the game, it's from tonight's game, easily 5 or 6 pictures of him posing with fans that I follow on Twitter, posing with fans at the game tonight.
He's a legend.
Do that. I mean, you just don't see people do that. And Lacazette, Aubameyang, I think he genuinely loves being in London, playing for this club. The thing that scares me is with Unai Emery, and the lack of service. Are we going to chase him away because of the style of football that Emery seems to want to play?
We've got to give them the success. I wanted us to win the Europa League last May. Those 2 guys hauled us into the final with that semi-final performance.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to reward their best years. We haven't done that in the last 10 or 15 years with Arsenal players. I'm thinking about Fabregas in particular. We didn't reward those type of players with titles that they needed to get. But hopefully we're on the way. Where do you stand then finally on the manager? Here's my contention is I'm going to give him till Christmas, New Year's. He's got to change his ways. Doesn't look like he's changing his ways. It's just really difficult when you play Torreira out of position and you go with 2 defenders that, in my eyes, are not as good as the 2 that we have sitting on the bench for the Premier League.
Yeah.
There's just so many pieces, Tanner, that we can all see it. All of us fans can see those pieces, and they're not in the right positions.
And that's because any of us who have ever played FIFA or Pro Football Manager, we wouldn't be doing any of this with a video game let alone in real life. And
yeah, play Torreira as the furthest most
he was playing as a number 10 tonight at one point.
Yeah,
I think he played when Pepe came on. I think, and I don't. I will say that my experience with actually playing the game is slim to none. So certain things I'm not as well versed as a lot of others, but I'm fairly certain that when Pepe came on, Torreira was actually in the number 10 role tonight. And I'm dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded by that. My takes on Emery, I can appreciate the patience. How do I want to say this? I'm going back to last year, and I'm quite frankly going back to the end of the 22-game unbeaten run, where at that point we just became a very average football club. And then the capitulation at the end of the season, his insistence on playing the best team in the Europa League, which at that time of the year, if you're in the conversation for both, you have to play that's when the players have to suck it up and they have to play the minutes at that point. And him playing our best team in the Europa League and really just taking the eggs out of the Premier League basket when it was there. It was there for us. And 1 point, we beat Brighton. I was at that game, the game you were at last year. I was there. Beat Brighton, and we're in fourth. You know,
well, we all know numerous chances to pick up a point or 2 points somewhere, anywhere.
Yep,
we're there. You know,
to answer your question, I am not emphatically, but I am Emery out at this point. And
you're right.
My fear with him is twofold. We cannot fall so far out of the top 4 race that whoever comes in, the mountain is just too tall to scale at that point. And I fear certain players are going to want out in January because they see the writing on the wall. This isn't going to get any better. The likes of Aubameyang, Lacazette, Rob Holding might want out. Kieran Tierney may have buyer's remorse signing with us if he's not playing Premier League matches. Lucas Torreira is another one. I'm a big Lucas Torreira fan when he's playing in his right position, in his proper position.
In some ways, Torreira offset the issues with Xhaka because he was playing alongside of him and some ways mopping up his mistakes. And maybe that's why he tired toward the end of the season.
Could be. I actually said that earlier tonight, that middle of the season through that 22-game stretch last year, I thought Lucas Torreira was absolutely one of our best players, and he did tail off towards the end of the year. His best moments were certainly October, November through probably March or April, and then he tailed off. But as far as Emery goes, as I said, I'm Emery out, and it's only to save the club. Now, if Emery figures it out, I'm all for it.
Let's end on a good note. This was Pepe's coming out party. 2 goals, 2 amazing free kicks, and that's what we should remember from tonight.
Pepe is here.
Pepe has arrived, everybody.
Pepe has arrived, absolutely.
And like you said, Tanner, he's walking in the footsteps of some legends now. Okay, were we bigging him up too much? Maybe. But he's doing the same things that Bergkamp did, Henry did, Perez, all of those players. They do need time to settle into this league, find their feet, know their teammates, get to know them, get to know their movements. And let's not forget, finally, he was playing in a different system with Lille last season, a very much a counter-attacking team as well. So some adaptation needed to what we're actually slowing things down the way we're playing, and I would like to see us speed things up a little bit. You know,
just play to our strengths. Really, it's the changes that need to be made are in my opinion pretty simple. Play to our strengths, and we'll be fine. And our strength is attack. Play to the attack, and now with Pepe hitting the ground, running the way he seems to be coming on now. Let's go. Push everybody forward. This playing out from the back thing is it's tedious at this point. And
let's do this. Let's do this.
Yep.
Hey,
we'll attack.
Folks, we'll talk again. Tanner and I will be back Monday night. We will have another podcast. We will talk about what happened after Crystal Palace.
Hopefully it's a good talk.
Hopefully it's a good talk. Tell the viewers where they can find you, where your social is. You've started up an audio podcast as well, Tanner.
Yeah. So the best thing to do is to go on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at @beardedgooner. It's DA, not THE, DA Bearded Gooner. Maybe I'll put that in the box for next time. That way you can see it. The Bearded Gooner. Twitter and their character limitations. I couldn't fit the Bearded Gooner in. But that's the best place to find me. I always post the podcast on the Twitter. But if you're looking for me in the podcast world, you can just search Bearded Gooner on your preferred platform. Right now, probably the easiest thing to do is go to anchor.fm and just search Bearded Gooner, and it will come up. But again, Twitter is the Bearded Gooner.
I will put those links right down there for anybody watching on playback. Go check out Tanner, the Bearded Gooner. I still got to call you the BFG sometimes, I think.
I'm all right with it. So I can't ever save again, though. So
shout out to Stan the Man. He came in and stayed with us for a good bit. And we had Noe earlier on as well.
Hey, thanks, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Stan the Man. We had Stan on last week here on the podcast. Good show. So, hey, come on, you Gunners. Let's do this thing, and we'll talk Monday night.
Up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal. Lombard Camp. We got one last person here. Lombard Camp has just jumped in. Lombard Camp, check out that Bearded Gooner, DA. This is Tanner. Just give him 30 seconds blurb there, Tanner.
Lombard Camp, lucky win today. You got that right. I'm with you. Emery out. But the luck part of it, I said this earlier. This is what happens when you have a good, talented side. We can play poorly and still pull out the 3 points. So
yeah, really, the message today, Lombard Camp, is we're living off of the brilliance of our superstar players. Tonight it was Pepe, it's been Aubameyang, and it's been Lacazette at times, and Martinelli.
Yeah. Martinelli, big shout out to him. He's one for the future. Stud, absolute stud.
We have some great talent, Tanner. If we nurture it, good times are ahead.
Absolutely.
All right, until Monday, my friend. Thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
And we'll talk to you Monday.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you then.
Thanks, Lombard Camp. Thanks,
Lombard Camp.
No,
cheers, guys.
Later. Come on, you Gooners.
Up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.